Hello, everybody. Wonderful. Everything worked so far very nicely. Holy Madonna of streaming services. Wonderful. Welcome to the Fiedler Audio live stream. This is a special broadcast today because for the first time to the world, Mr. Thomas Fiedler will show live the new mastering console, which will change a lot in terms of Dolby Atmos creation workflows and mastering. So, and here he is. Hello, Mr. Thomas Fiedler. Hello. How are you? Are you excited? I am. Yeah. Wonderful. So we changed the day. It's a Wednesday, and after the long summer pause, we decided maybe we could change this up a little bit. So, if possible, we will do this bi-weekly from now on Wednesday until further notice, of course. And yeah, it's about the Fiedler Mastering Console 2.0. I heard some feedback from important sites that, oh, it's just an update. We won't look at it again. And people don't understand that this is a completely new application, a completely different beast compared to Mastering Console 1.0. I think for us it's so obvious, but it's important to mention that. So it's a completely different, new, and amazingly powerful application. So before I get into bragging, Thomas, you might want to. Oh, that is from the podcast from earlier today. Now, please say again something.
So, hello everybody. Now I hope that you hear me. Please let me know in the chat if you can actually hear me now.
So it's not totally perfect.
Turn your mic on, Thomas. Yeah, well, my mic is on.
No, I think this is from before I switched the channel. People say.
So, well, Sebastian said,
Oh,
good now. Good
okay,
now.
good
Oh,
now.
that's good.
So,
That's
as an explanation, in OBS you can record to several various independent channels, and that only works for recording. The stream needs to be all on channel 1, so Thomas' channel was on 2. Sorry for that. So that was the hiccup. Nothing is good for a live stream without any technical hiccups. So excuse me for this, my fault. Nu aber, genau. Hallo Andreas. Hello, the other Andreas as well, Master Lab Academy. Hey there, friends. Wonderful.
hi.
So, yeah, Thomas, please, before I get into bragging, as I said, just get started with what you have to show us and to tell us today. And then, of course, there's a lot of time for question and answers afterwards.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, what can I say? I mean, I think most of you have already seen that we released the second iteration of the mastering console, which is actually not a second iteration or an upgrade, but which is an entirely new application for Dolby Atmos mastering. It is Dolby Atmos mastering as we think it should be. It should be easy, it should be all in one place, and it should be fast. And you should be able to do what you are used to do in mastering when it comes to stereo. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically what characterizes the mastering console as such. The first version of the mastering console was basically a Dolby Atmos composer as a standalone version. You could load one ADM file, work on it with Gravitas, and export it, re-export it, and change some things in the binaural modes and descriptions and yeah, some metadata inside the ADM file and re-export it. But the new mastering console has everything you need to create entire albums, gapless, seamless, with crossfades. It has a very fast workflow for loudness management, if you want, not only measurement, but management. So you can automatically adjust the entire album loudness wise. And we have a very nice true peak limiter, which measures after the renderer, but limits before it, so that it is capable of taking away just that what has to be taken away to be compliant and nothing more. No more searching for what is causing the true peak to spike at a certain point. Yeah, we have the master channel, of course, with OBAM plugins for Atmos clips, so that you can process your entire Atmos mix or any part of it if you want with the now currently available two OBAM plugins, which is Gravitas MDS and the Tone Boosters Equalizer Pro. So two very essential tools, equalization and dynamics, are available already for the master channel. And yeah, we know that there are some people already, or some plugin developers already working on getting their plugins also to OBAM. So, of course, due to NDA, we cannot say anything more, but there's definitely more to come. And which is also a very novel thing, is that you can master your stereo tracks alongside, or the stereo versions of your mixes alongside your Atmos tracks. You can create new workflows like Atmos first, like the stereo track is not anymore called a reference track like people used to, but now the Atmos track is a reference, and you master the stereo according to the Atmos. And yeah, so many things possible. And for mastering the Atmos track, you have your entire arsenal of VST3 plugins available. And yeah, that's basically it. This is the key points I want to say. I would say among many other features which make life easier, those are the key points for your workflow. It has especially the capacity to greatly accelerate your mastering workflow, to give you new possibilities of doing things and to really get going. Because before that, you needed a lot of different tools to one for this and another for that and so forth, and you always need to switch between different things, between different applications. But now you can do everything inside one application, and the result is a deliverable. You just can deliver what comes out of the mastering console for publication. And this is where we wanted to get, actually, because working with Dolby Atmos should be easy. We wanted to take out every unnecessary complication, and I hope we succeeded.
Yes, I can say you sure did. And yeah, maybe you could show us some of the amazing things that are now possible with the mastering console, because
Sure.
listening to what you're saying there is a different thing, because there are so many aspects of just very simple tasks which were not possible in with Atmos before, and now they're even so streamlined and fast that it's just incredible. I mean, you said just deliverables. You then supply to the streamers, and this whole dialogue, how to get your stuff out of the mastering console, and with all the formats and things like this, is in itself already a pretty amazing thing compared to everything else that's out there. But yeah, as I said, I don't want to fall into bragging. Maybe you take over and show us some things.
You let me do the bragging. Okay,
No,
let's start.
you're the maker. You won't brag at all with anything you say.
Okay, okay. Start now. You should actually see my screen. I hope you do.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, now this is the mastering console when you open it. And yeah, I just created a very simple session. It consists of 3 Atmos mixes, 1, 2, and 3, plus the stereo counterparts on the bottom. So as you can see, it's very similar laid out as a Dolby Atmos album assembler. So you have visually you have a 5.1 representation of your Atmos mix, and below that you have the stereo mix, which is of course shown as stereo. And well, you can do all kinds of things on the timeline. You can rearrange and so forth. That's what you are used to in any DAW with doing clips on the timeline. And the mastering console basically works in two different modes. There's the batch mode, which you can switch between the two modes here on the left side. The batch mode is what the name implies. It is there for quickly processing your files as a batch. There don't it doesn't the different mixes don't have to necessarily have to have a relation with each other. They don't necessarily have to go into one album or whatever. It's just one by one. You can process here as a batch, and the of course the advantage of using the batch mode is performance. So whenever you do something in batch mode, everything is parallelized. So be it loudness measurement. I mean, if I just open the loudness management windows and say measure all, everything is measured at once at the same time. So wherever possible, the entire CPU is used to get you as quick as possible to the to the to the goal. So that's number one. That is also counts for export. So all files are exported simultaneously if you are exporting ADM files plus re-renders. Also, they are parallelized. So your ADM along with all your re-renders are exported simultaneously. If we open up the export window, you can see I have my 3 clips or regions, if you will, and I can export everything at once. The ADM file, obviously, and then re-renders from 916 down to stereo direct, Dolby Atmos binaural, Apple spatial audio, and of course a stereo tech. I mean, if you master stereo in the same application, then of course you also want to export that. So all that can be exported, and Apple spatial audio, just to tell you, is also available on Windows. So you can export export the same thing on both Windows and Mac. And since we are already at the topic of spatial audio, we also get to monitoring. So at the top right, we have the monitoring section. You can listen to your mixes in any Dolby Atmos supported loudspeaker setup from stereo up to 916, and you can listen to on headphones stereo, binaural, and spatial audio. To spatial audio, I have to say, on Macs which support it, which are sufficiently recent and have a sufficiently new operating system, spatial audio is spatial audio. It's the native thing as it is. And on any other system, means on older Macs or on Windows, it is sounding exactly the same as spatial audio. We took some impulse responses from the spatial audio algorithm to give you spatial audio. The only thing you won't have on those systems is head tracking, obviously, because that is part of the algorithm which you cannot easily mimic with impulse responses, but you get the sound. So even on Windows, you can listen to how your mix sounds on Apple Spatial Audio. And yeah, having said that, of course, as you might know from the Mastering Console 1, you can configure everything here on the options menu. You can configure your audio device. You can configure your connections from the Dolby Atmos renderer output towards your sound card. So currently I just have headphones selected, but I could also basically select 9.1.6 with headphones, and then this is the routing presets, and you can obviously customize everything to your liking. And on the right side you have the tuning part. So if you need, you can use you can tune the output of the mastering console to your studio configuration. You can input a volume and a delay time for each and every channel, except headphones, of course, as well as an EQ curve. so you can optimize your listening experience in your studio. And of course, we have the VST3 setup where you can basically scan and look for your VST3 plugins, which you can then put onto the master channel, which is in the lower light, in the lower left. You can just select from your from your VST3 plugins to process the different clips. Each clip has its own master channel, which gets active once you select it. Yeah, that is the batch mode. And of course, the same things are available in the other mode, which is called album mode. When you switch it, you can see some additional things become visible. And the album mode, as the name implies, is there for you to create albums of songs which belong together. And when you do that, you can see that these white triangles become visible here on the top. Those are region markers. So you can imagine it as something like the input objects. This is what you import. These are arranged as clips. So each ADM BWF file becomes a clip. Each stereo file also becomes a clip. And then that's what you actually play back or export or measure the loudness for is the region. It's completely decoupled from the clips. So you can basically move around these markers and thereby change what's in each region. This is the way how you can select them. And now, for example, the first regions which I just selected contains the first clip and a part of the second clip. So you can join clips, you can split clips into various, like for example, you have a very long ADM file and you want to split it into various parts. That's easily possible. And of course, the long-awaited crossfades. So it's as easy as just taking a clip, putting it on top of each other, and then, doing the crossfade using the fade handles. That's it. Now you have your crossfade, and you can put now your region handle here on top, so that this is the first song you export, and this is the second song you export, and so you have your crossfade just right in the middle of it. And yeah, the same thing you can do with stereo files. So if you have exported the same amount of samples for your stereo mix, you can do basically the same thing here and do your crossfade. So you can really match your stereo album to your Atmos album configuration and thereby create albums. And still, each clip has its own master channel, and the region is that what gets exported. So this is the one which gets loudness measured. If I open the loudness measurement window, I can measure again all the loudness, but now I have the regions instead of the clips. In batch mode, clips and regions are the same. Here it's separate. And yeah, that's that. And now let's take a little further look at the loudness. The loudness can be handled very easily in the mastering console. Of course, we have to measure it, so let's let them do it for the time being. And while the mastering console is doing it, I will explain to you what is so easy and so fast about the loudness management in the mastering console. So once a region is successfully measured, the state becomes up to date, and you see the results here. Now the first two regions are in red, which means they are above the target values which I have set here in the lower left and in the lower right corner. The lower left corner contains the maximum integrated loudness I want to have, which is by default set to -18, but you can click into it and change it to any other value if you want. And so the workflow is like this. First, the loudness, the integrated, is corrected. And once that is done, which is the actually audible loudness of each song. Once you have that adjusted, then you can tackle, or we can tackle the limiters. We can tackle the true peak values by the limiter. Let's say I have an album, and all my edits. I'm fine with all my edits, and I just want to adjust the entire album. Then I can just click auto adjust as group. Then all the values are changed. Now, since the last region only contains one ADM file, gets corrected immediately, while the others I have to remeasure. Since I moved the region handle, so something changed, so let's remeasure it. And once that is done, we can see that the integrated value will be as we wanted it to have. So now you can see the loudest song, or the loudest region, if you will, is at -18, and everything else kept its relation to each other. So now we have basically corrected the loudness. Now, in this case, our true peak value is also green or blue, if you will, because we are below the max true peak value, which we have set out here. But just for the sake of demonstration, I will just change it from -1 to -3 dB. These values don't change anything in your mix. They are just there for visualization, for visualizing what's going on. So now let's say we have a -3 dB true peak goal. And so we can see that this value here of the first region, the true peak value, became red. That means that indicates, hey, this thing is above our goal. So the only thing what we have to do is we can switch on the limiter manually, or if we have a lot of different regions where just some are above the max true peak value, we can also auto-engage it. And now the limiters are engaged, and that obviously changed everything, so I have to remeasure everything. While it is doing, you might ask why all limiters are engaged. The reason for that is that by chance, or not by chance, this album or the session which I created is also gapless. This you can see here. Let me just move aside the window. This you can see here on the top, the indicator gapless says yes. If it's gapless, it says yes. If it's not gaplessly encodable, it says no. What does it mean? Gaplessly encodable means that all export regions in your session are configured in such a way that you can, when you deliver your ADM files, your exported ADM files to the streamers, you can check the box and say, hey, this is a gapless album. I want that it gets encoded in such a way that the encoded files can be played back gaplessly. And this indicator tells you if that's the case or not. And if your session is gaplessly encodable, if everything in your session is gaplessly encodable, then there's only one global limiter for everything, just to make sure that there are no dropouts or no clicks and other things in the transitions. That's why everything gets activated. If the indicator would say no, then really only selectively the limiter would get engaged. And now you can see after measurement, the first region where it was before, it was above the -3 dB true peak. It's now slightly below because the limiter did its work. And that's how easy it is to work with loudness in the mastering console. And basically you are ready to export. The next big thing here is the editor. In the editor, you can basically change almost everything about your imported files. If for a moment I switch back to batch mode, then the editor gets slightly less complex. On the left side, you have the channel list of each region. You can select your regions here. And then you see we have a bed here. Bed channels are yellow and dynamic objects are in blue. And on the right side, we see the selector or the field where you can edit your program level metadata, such as downmix, trim, and balance. and as well the timecode start. In the channel list, you can change the usual suspects such as binaural mode. You can set a description. You can select groups. If you don't have the group you want, you can just create it here. This is like you might know it also from other Dolby Atmos tools. And another thing you can do here is simply activating and deactivating channels. Like I could take out the bed. Now, when I export it, then only the objects will get exported. The bed is deactivated. It's still there. It does the originally imported IDM files. They are not changed at any time. It's all non-destructive. So this is just inside the session, and when you export that, then it will only export the objects. And another thing you can do is you can also move channels around. So if you have an ADM file and you need to change the channel order, or you need to put certain channels on certain positions, it's very easy to do that. You can just select the channels you want to change, click the move button, and then you can select the destination. So if I select this destination, I just move the bed to the bottom. So with Command Z, I can undo this, and then the channels are back. And now things get even more interesting when I switch to album mode. In album mode, we have two more columns here on this side, and they show the clips inside the region which transition there. So let's make it easy. We now, since we switched back from batch mode to album mode, we again have one region per clip, but we can change it. Let's just move it here. Now in the first region, we again have two clips. And when we move to the editor, we can see that the first ADM and the second ADM file are here selectable. So we see the channels of the first ADM file on the left side, and then the second on the right side. So we can also move clips around or move channels around. We can activate or deactivate channels, and thereby match whatever we have to match. And this on the bigger list is basically the region. That what we selected here, the resulting layout can be seen here. This is the resulting layout. Yeah, I mean, I can go on talking like I would do the tutorial, but I mean, we have the tutorials. They can say many more details of what can be done here. But as you might already see and understand, there's a giant potential for with a lot of freedom what you can actually do, especially when you get mixes from different producers. I mean, if usually or many times if you get mixes only from one producer, they most probably have the same layout and the same settings and so forth. So you have less to do. But if you want to compile an Atmos album from different producers, then you get very different ADM files every time. So that gives you all the possibilities to adjust and to fine tune everything so that when you export it, everything is as intended. And yeah, well, the last view I can speak about is the 3D view, which basically shows you what's going on. And when you hit play, then you see, let me just do it here. You can see that the object's moving around, and the bed is static, and you can turn it around to get a better look at it. And yeah, that's it what you can do here. So you can get a nice overview. With the list on the left, you can hide and focus certain elements so that you can concentrate on what you want to see. And yeah, that's it basically. Now that was a kind of a long monologue, and I think we could maybe, if there are already some questions, we can answer some questions. What do you think, Tom?
Yes, I think so too. It's pretty impressive, and yeah, but still only scratching the surface. But there have some questions been coming up. If you want to change the screen to the camera again, Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, do you see the questions? Can you have a
Yes, I
look at
can.
it?
I can look at the chat. No need for album assembler anymore. That's correct. I am not understanding the actual difference between console 2 export and 2.0 export and 2.0 D export. What's the use of these as my stereo master? I want to use one of these. Yeah. 2.0 is stereo and 2.0 D is stereo direct. The stereo direct is rather new, a rather new format which Dolby provides as an output format from the Dolby Atmos renderer. The difference is that the traditional stereo, which is 2.0, is created by creating several downmix steps from your Atmos mix. So, if I'm not mistaken, first a 7.1.4 is created, and then the 7.1, and then 5.1, and then from that is stereo. Something like that. So, you go through various steps. And the stereo direct is a direct stereo representation of your Atmos mix. So there's no downmixing step in between. It just is basically rendered directly to stereo. It sounds different, and the stereo direct is not affected when you change the downmix settings in the program level metadata. There you can change downmix settings to different algorithms, but the stereo output is affected by it because it goes through these downmix steps. And yeah, that's basically the difference. Just select them and you will hear slight differences in your mix, depending on how you have everything set up. Then let's see. The next question. If I have been very careful with track length in my DAW, I think I can just use batch mode in console. Yeah, I mean, it depends. The album mode is there for creating an album, especially when it comes to crossfades, especially when it comes to gapless. Um, if if your album is just a bunch of songs where it's not important for you to really have them played back gaplessly, batch mode is your king. That's quite fast. Um, if you want to do batch mode, we recommend album mode. If you want to do gapless, we recommend album mode because then you have the utmost control. But obviously, the gapless indicator on the top left corner also works in batch mode. So if you have carefully laid out um, your ADM files which come out of your DAW, then it might work. So you can basically first import everything to batch mode, then look if the gapless says yes, and if so, and you want to do gapless mode, then then everything is fine. So you don't need to uh, go to album mode to make it gaplessly encodable. Um, Next question, also from Toby. In the future, I can just use the console intentionally. Set silence, by the way. No, set silence between track with an album mode. Yes, of course. You can not only crossfade, but you can set any kind of gaps between different clips on the timeline. Okay, then observation audio asked regarding crossfades. If the end user selects a song in the middle of the album, will it ignore the crossfades or fade into the song? The crossfades are done inside the mastering console. And depending where you set your region marker, the region marker basically says where one song ends and the next one starts. So if a listener jumps to a certain song, it will jump to where the song has been set to start with your region markers. That's it. Like in a CD in old days, when you make a CD which is gapless, which is a gapless album on a CD, you have your track markers you set to a certain point, but your fade is going across the track marker. And if you jump to the song, you jump to in the middle of the fade, in the middle where the fade is going on. So this will be basically the same thing. Then when I have an album with gapless songs, do they have an index? How do the streaming site know the order of the songs? I got the software updated and it's really great. Thank you. The streamers know the orders by how you set them when you deliver. And when you select the bunch of songs which you deliver in the correct order to be encoded as gapless, then they, and it is possible to encode them as gapless, then they will do so. There's nothing like a track marker which you can put into an ADM file. I got earlier the day, I got this question from someone else who also asked the same thing, and like you could, it's not as far as I know. There's no track markers for ADM files, so that you can just deliver one big ADM file and they will basically cut it into pieces. No, you need to basically master your album as if it would become one big ADM file, gaplessly encodable, but you have to set your regions to mark where one song ends and the next one begins, then export it as separate ADM files and deliver it. You can do the test if you have a gapless album and you export the ADM files and then you re-import the ADM files to the mastering console, to a new session on the mastering console, and you play it back gaplessly, you will hear there's no transition problem going on. It's just plays back very nicely. So in the same way, the streamers will then encode your ADM files, and it will be possible to be played back gaplessly. Can't be wait to see the moving balls. Yeah, sure, go ahead. You first need to create some automation to see them moving. Um, Feature request option to add track IDs to the file name when exporting regions. Yeah, I mean we will look into the topic of adding metadata for export. Such things, so that these things can be set like ISRC and UPC and whatever in case you need. Will base management be part of console's future? Is another question. Um, Maybe, I don't know. Currently, what comes out of the Dolby Atmos renderer algorithm, that will be output to your speakers, and base management is basically up to you until now. So if you have something else which does the base management, then please use that. Um, One more question: is there a shortcut for zooming? Oh yeah, there are several shortcuts. They are described in the manual. Down to the bottom, there is an entire page about different keyboard shortcuts. You can one thing is using these fields here, which is for using with the mouse. Then you can hold down Alt or Option key and use the mouse wheel. And wherever you you
For
you
this, you have to
you
share the screen, Thomas.
oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you are completely right. Uh, let's share the screen. So one thing for zooming is just using the fields, which are quite obvious. The second thing is hold down Option or Alt key and then use the mouse wheel. If you additionally hold down the Command or Control key on Windows, then the playback pointer will be kept in the center. And when you hold down the Command key and use the up and down arrow key, you can, with the up key, Command up is move extremely in while keeping the playback pointer in the center, and Command down is moving completely out to such a level that you can see the entire session. And yeah, that's basically it.
Cool. Back to
Yeah,
you.
that's now for now all the questions which have been asked.
Yeah. So, are there all are these all the questions which are, burning and current right now? Because otherwise, I would like to point to some different aspects of the mastering console. I mean, in console one, there was also the, speaker channel management, measuring, EQing and stuff like that. Maybe you could address this a little bit, the monitoring section and how it works. If you not want to, because there are some new questions, if you want to take them first.
Well, there's one question which came in. Is there a way to create a consistent sound between the ADM files using EQ or comp within the mastering console? Yes, of course. As I said before, each clip has its master channel. Now I select the first Atmos clip, and I can put on the tone booster equalizer and Gravitas MDS. The tone booster equalizer looks like this.
The
It's
screen,
oh, I'm forgetting this.
back and forth all the time.
Back and forth.
Never stop, never stop.
Yeah. So I selected the first ADM clip, and I put on the tone boosters equalizer Pro and one instance of Gravitas. If I look at this here, this is the equalizer. So it works basically like FabFilter or any other graphical equalizer. They are very similar, so I can use the EQ to my liking, and I can also select what each band should actually process. So I can select the channels from the bed, or I can select objects. This is how equalizing works in a nutshell. And then we have the gravitas, the multi-channel or Atmos capable compressor. So you can basically do all your work inside here. So if I let it run for some time, you can see the incoming channels. They are processed here, and this you can do for each and every clip. So each clip has its own master channel. If I select the second, you see on the lower left corner that the plugins disappeared because they are only in the master channel of the first clip. So you can go through each clip and really um, adjust everything in such a way that they get a consistent sound, as you are used to when when working with different stereo mixes and trying to adjust them to get a consistent sound. Yeah, that's basically it for the
And
master channel.
and
Yeah,
just for the book, if you click on the stereo track
yeah,
as well, it showed just quickly how this also works with
yeah.
the
I
other
mean,
plugins.
I can. Let's say I want to use the ultra channel on the stereo, and I can use some ultra channel from Eventide, or I can use some FabFilter Pro Q4 if I want, and just load it up. Oops, that's just a demo license here. Yeah, I can basically um, use my entire arsenal of VST3 plugins.
And then you
Uh,
can also switch back and forth just by selecting the ADM or the stereo file. That's very
yeah, I can
conveniently.
switch back and forth and go in and select select the appropriate master channel for editing. And when I monitor, that means when I do the playback, then this little button here with the stereo symbol, I hear let's get it down here that you can see something. Now I hear when it's off, I hear the Atmos part, and if I switch it on, I only hear the stereo part. I should be, maybe this is because I have some not working plugin here. Oh, what's going on here? Well, actually, it should be playing. I don't know why not. That's the presentation effect. Interesting. Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah. This is you have to be to pay attention. Um, Maybe it's that. Mm, yeah, Q4 was in demo. That's correct. Oh, yeah, I ditched the wrong plugins. Yeah. Now you can see it. Stereo is played back. This is Atmos. That is stereo. So Pro Q4 was blocking the sound. Thank you, Andreas. And yeah, so you can switch back and forth with the stereo button, and then also basically really match if you want. Although to be honest, I recommend not trying to match your stereo, your Atmos to the stereo, because that if you do that, then what's the point of Atmos? Because I mean, most people listen to your listen to Atmos on headphones, and the actual goal of Dolby Atmos is do something which sounds better, which sounds more yeah, more emotionally impacting, so to say, than stereo. So when you do the mastering, try to make Atmos better, and even while mixing, try to make it better than stereo without negligence regarding the stereo mix. That should always be as good as it can be, but Atmos should become better. That's the goal if you want to make Atmos something which can beat stereo. On a side note. And Peter is asking how to match the same length between exactly already delivered stereo masters and ADMs in album mode. That's quite easy. So if you let's put that here aside, and let's just take the example of the first song. Let's say this is the length of our stereo. This is the stereo master, and we have an ADM file which is a little bit longer. Then we can just change the length of the ADM file to match that, or we can change the length of the stereo file to match the length of the ADM file. So you can match the lengths of both, and to get it really exactly. And we have you can of course freely move it around, but if you hold down the Alt or Option key, then it snaps to the length of the, or to any point of interest, so to say. Points of interest can also be fade points. So if I just move it around, and it can snap also to other points of interest. But when I move it to the towards the end of the Atmos clip, then the stereo clip will have the same length, sample precise. So both clips have the same length in samples. I can prove it by changing the time unit, which is displayed here with the small unit button here on the right. Now it's showing the time in hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. I can switch over to frames, or I can switch over to samples. Now, when I select the Atmos clip, then I can see it's how much is it? 100 and no, the 16 million, the length, 16 million 800 no, 86,858 samples. And when I select the stereo clip, exactly the same length, sample precise. So yeah. And of course, if you want to do some precise things, you can also click these values and edit them numerically. So you can do everything as precise as you want.
Amazing.
So, Tom, what did you want me to show before we answer the
Your
question?
face to begin with,
Oh,
if you could switch.
yeah.
Wonderful. And yeah, there was one thing I would ask, if the stereo file is longer, so it has a little bit more silence in front of it than the
Mhm.
ADM. How would that work with the end when they are already matched? Basically, that's okay. But if the stereo file in the beginning is longer, for example, will it still automatically snap to
Well,
common?
okay. Let me switch over again, and I have to share again.
Mm-hmm.
Not forgetting this time. Okay, let's say your stereo file, which is on the bottom, is a little bit longer. And let's just imagine there is just some silent in the beginning, and you know how much is. You can basically cut that. What in the beginning? What is too much here? You can cut and then move it to the beginning. That's it. So you can cut from the beginning, you can cut from the end. If you know exactly how it is, how much it is, you can also use numerical inputs. So if you click the small button here, the small triangle button, you get to a second set of values. Cut in, for example. Let's say I have 100,000 samples too much in front, and I can just say, cut me 100,000 samples from the beginning. Oh, it doesn't seem to be much. So maybe let's take 1 million samples. And now it cut out the first 1 million samples from the clip. And now I just have to move it to the beginning, and I have my match. So different possibilities. And if I want to match it inside here, like let's say I can also command click on a clip and drag sideways, so I can match. If I have space to do that, I can move the clip inside or move the file inside the clip boundaries. And if I zoom in, then I can basically say, okay, I want to have that synchronized like this. If I zoom out, well, I have to get the right point maybe to go step by step. So I can basically match them. So if I go inside, yeah, I have to. Yeah. I myself also have to get used to the. Yeah. Now we can see it. So if it's zooming too fast, then you have to go zoom in step by step, and then you can match them.
Cool.
Then you have them matched.
Wonderful. Awesome. Then, a word about the monitoring system, maybe, if not everyone is familiar with it. Some parts of it we know already from the from version 1.0 with all the speaker management stuff, and now, it's pretty simple to switch between speaker systems and setups for
I
the
know what you mean.
monitoring, and even, of course, between binaural and Apple spatial audio, plus head tracking as well. So I think that's pretty powerful also.
Then let me dive into that, sharing in my screen. As I was showing before, you can set basically your connections to the audio interface here. And just let's assume you have a 9.1.6 speaker setup. Now, what you can see here in this track list, these are basically the different names of the outputs of the Dolby Atmos renderer. And here with the drop-down menus, if you want to do it manually, you can assign which channel of your selected audio device is connected to which channel of the Dolby Atmos renderer. And for example, this preset is configured in such a way that the 16 channels of a 916 layout are going to channels 1 through 16. And then we also have the left surround and right surround of 5.1.x setups, which is 5.1, 5.1.2, and 5.1.4. And they are also sent to output 5 and 6, which is the same as the left side surround and right side surround, the sides of the 916 or 714 layout. And the reason for that is that you can then just, you set it up once, And then you can just select, for example, if you usually listen to 916, but you say, oh, I want to see how, or want to hear how the 5.1 downmix sounds, you can just select 5.1, and that's it. Now the left surround and right surround is output to the side speakers of your 916 layout. So that way you just have to be here once, configure your studio, if you will, and then you can just switch through the different setups. You can listen to a 714 on your 916. You can listen to a 512 on your 916 speaker layout, and of course 916 and stereo and whatever you want. You just need to switch through with one click. And yeah, for headphones, it's as simple as that. Also, you can listen to stereo, binaural, and spatial audio. On Macs which support it, both can do head tracking. So head tracking can be selected here. If you are on Windows or on an older Mac, then only Dolby binaural will work with head tracking, because spatial audio is, as I told before, a simulation. And when it comes to head tracking, you can head tracking is supported for two systems. One is the Apple headphones, which support that. That will of course only work with Macs, and the other system works with both Macs and Windows. This is the Supperware head tracker, which was recently also shown by Michael G. Wagner. This is basically a strip which you can connect to your headphone. This is basically inside this part of the headphone, and it's coming out. Here is the connector. I have to connect a USB cable and connect it to my computer. It's cable based, not wireless, which has the big advantage that it's extremely fast. So there's almost no latency, especially because our implementation talks practically directly to the head tracker, so you get an extremely realistic feeling. That is what is really important about head tracking, that it's fast, that there is no latency, because otherwise you will just hear the effect of the sound turning around your head, but you won't get the feeling that it's part of your environment, which is the idea of head tracking while producing, especially if you don't have a speaker layout at hand and you are mixing or mastering on headphones. Then head tracking can be a really big help, but only if it makes you feel that you are inside, that you are basically positioned inside a static system. So
The
this head
screen,
tracker
Thomas.
really,
The screen.
okay. This basically gives you the feeling, the speed gives you the feeling um, to be inside a real system, and then you actually can improve your externalization and your localization for your brain.
Fantastic.
Okay, next question is there. Will the spatial algorithm update when Apple updates or changes? Yes, I guess so. Um, in case they change the algorithm, which is running on Macs, then this might change automatically or might not. Might because internally I can say that you can basically configure the spatial audio experience. They have a very extensive framework to create your spatial audio experience on Mac. Also for games, for example. You can do a lot of other things. The way it is currently configured is that what is also used in Logic Pro when you listen to spatial audio, and so it's in line basically with the way how music is played back through spatial audio. Also include more options to listen to it.
Microphone, sorry. And the amazing thing is that, yeah, especially that you can just so quickly compare these two without having to do any shenanigans with, external encoders, and so where you need to route your signal and all your channels out to something else. That's quite a change.
Yeah.
So here's a
Okay.
new about the headroom feature. I'm curious about
Oh,
that. Well,
yeah.
that's one of our favorite subjects.
Well, not favorite, but it was one of the last features which went into the mastering console. And yeah, the point is the following: the Dolby Atmos renderer application uh, offers you the opportunity to switch a limiter on and off, which is inside the Dolby Atmos rendering algorithm. And this limiter is basically switched on in every other Dolby Atmos implementation, be it Logic, Pro Tools, Nuendo, and so forth. Wherever it's natively inside for production tools, it's always on and you cannot switch it off. And I have noticed it to be a problem. For production and for mastering, it can be a problem, especially if you don't know that this limiter exists, which most people don't know when they start out with Atmos. The limiter is there because it simulates the same limiter, which is uh, um, applied to the ADM file just because before it gets encoded to MP4. So before they encode an ADM file, for some safety reasons, they have this limiter. And usually it's not doing anything, or it's doing very little to your ADM file if you stay in the usual loudness norms like -18 LKFS and -dB true peak. But it becomes audible, uh, audibly doing something when you are above that. And many people don't notice it, and they mix into this limiter like you would mix into a mastering compressor or a mix bus compressor on your mix bus, and they think, oh yeah, it sounds cool, I'm mixing and mixing and mixing, and then they have when you measure the outcoming ADM file, they have something like -16 -14 LKFS, and well, they think everything's fine about the mix. Then they reduce the loudness because they want to deliver to the streamers. And then suddenly, oops, the mix sounds different. Why does it sound different? Well, it sounds different because the limiter was doing more when the mix was at -14 LKFS than after when it was reduced by 4 dB to get down to -18 LKFS. And now the mix sounds a little bit different. It seems to be falling apart because this, yeah, apparent mastering compressor or the limiter, which was somehow working like this, is not applied anymore. And that's why we thought there should be a way for you to disable the limiter or to circumvent or to be way under the threshold when it starts becoming active, so that you can basically work with a linear system. And this is something we built now into the mastering console. It will also go into the Dolby Atmos Composer because I feel that it's even more important there, so that you can make an informed decision. My recommendation is leave it on while you work, and the renderer headroom. So if the renderer headroom is on, then the limiter is not doing anything, and vice versa. If the headroom is off, then the limiter is doing its thing when you are above the certain level. So leave the headroom on while you're doing your mastering work, so you don't need to always have an eye on your loudness. You just can adjust the sound. You can do whatever you have to do creatively with your album, and leave the loudness measurement to the end, where it actually belongs. Once you did all the sonic adjustments and transitions and whatnot, then in the end, you just measure the loudness of your album, you correct it, and then you turn the additional headroom render off, listen to it again, just to see or listen how everything will get encoded. And it's also important that the additional renderer headroom is not only implemented for the playback, but also for the export. So when you export, you would For RDMs, it doesn't matter, but for any kind of re-render export, if you want to have it in the way as it should sound when it's getting encoded or when it's coming out of playing back an encoded file, then you should have the additional render headroom off for export as well. So this is the additional render headroom feature, which gives you yeah, another bit of air for working freely, and then just having loudness measurement and correction just in the end. Was this the thing that we needed a Dolby reference player to hear, and now we don't need thanks to you? It doesn't. The Dolby reference player, I'm not sure what you mean by that. But if you mean that you would need to listen back to the MP4 encoded file, that is still necessary, because there are other sonic changes to your mix, which are there not due to the built-in limiter, which is sitting before the encoding process, but due to the encoding process itself. The MP4 file is called DD plus JOC. This is Dolby Digital plus Joint Object Coding, if you inflate the abbreviation. Dolby Digital simply means it's a 5.1 down mix, basically, of your Dolby Atmos mix. And joint object coding means that additional metadata is added to basically get more information out of that sound data, so that you get height channels and more detail and so forth. But obviously that changes the sound. It will not sound exactly as your ADM file, unfortunately. But so that makes it necessary for you as a quality control step to also listen to the MP4 file if you are okay with that or not. And at that point, I can just also mention a friend of us. He created a platform for streaming immersive audio in a very high quality. And the platform is called pureaudiostreaming.com, everything written together. And this could be a good alternative to stream your Atmos mixes in a better sound quality than only MP4. But of course, the big streamers don't have that. They still have MP4. But hopefully, they will also go towards a better format. And I know from Dolby told me that they are working on something to replace MP4 to make it sound better. Yeah. Tom, are you
Yeah,
there?
there's another point regarding Spacelab and the renderer. I don't get entirely what
Okay.
Luca, hello, what you
Mhm.
mean by that. Thomas, do you get that?
Let me read it. We'll probably stick to that with some Spacelab fun by now. Can I dislike the Atmos renderer compared to that? Well, Spacelab is a production tool. It's a reverb which is used together with the Dolby Atmos composer. So this would be the mixing side, while the mastering console is the mastering side. Um, I mean, you can currently you can put Spacelab into the master channel for your stereo file, but for mastering, well, you sometimes you use a reverb, very slightly, of course, but um, if you're talking about the production of Dolby Atmos, then it would be the Dolby Atmos composer. Uh, can I dislike the Dolby Atmos renderer compared to that? If you want. You don't need the Dolby Atmos renderer if you're using the Dolby Atmos composer, because it has the Dolby Atmos rendering algorithm included in it. So you just need the Dolby Atmos composer, and you can create Dolby Atmos music or content in any DAW, and Spacelab nicely integrates with the Dolby Atmos composer.
Perfect. Yes. So this has been quite a lot, but there's
There's
even
another
more.
thing.
But
Yeah, there's another thing. Have you
mhm.
spoken about the special object-oriented plugin format you have implemented? I'm curious about how it works and if the processing can be turned off on some objects, but on for others. Good that you mentioned. Yeah, the as I mentioned before, it's called OBAM, Object-Based Audio Module, and OBAM plugins can be put on every Atmos clip. Let me share my screen before I forget it. So yeah, OBAM plugin can be put. OBAM plugins can be put on any Atmos clip. So let's just put on the Gravitas, which is the compressor, and let's have it here. Now you see it. It's in action. Um, yes, of course. You have all the freedom in the world. So in Gravitas, you just open the input selector or the input configuration, better said. There you have two lines basically. Represents each and every channel in your Dolby Atmos mix, starting with the bad channels, going from channel 1 to 10, which is your 7.1.2 bad, and then there come the objects, which are which have numbers on them, uh, which is equal to these numbers here. Um, if everything works right, then let's say it's a guitar object here. Let's give it a description, and that should actually be communicated. Maybe I have to keep it on. Well, okay, I have to see, but usually that is communicated to Gravitas, and then you can see that this is the guitar. But at least you can identify it via the objects and object numbers, and you can on the top row you can decide which of these channels will go into the detector. This is called detector input mixer. You can mix each channels, and you can also deselect them if you want. If you turn link off, you can do it independently from the input selector, which selects which channel will be processed, which will be compressed, so to say. So I can say, okay, I put all objects off for the detector. So the detector only detects what's going on in the bed, and I turn the bed off for the processing. So that the processing is actually, or the compression is only going on onto the object. So basically, the bed is the sidechain for compressing the objects, and I can do that in any combination, whatever I want. So I can do some ducking if I feel okay. There's some masking going on, and I want to reduce it, so I can duck one object with the sound of another bunch of objects or whatever. So there is a lot of freedom here, and a similar freedom you have with the equalizer. If I have a band, if I create a band, the band doesn't have to equalize the entire mix. You can actually select here all on, all off, and I say, okay, my equalizer should only be uh, uh, processing on the left and right in front, or I can just say object 1 and 2, and that's it. So that's it. So you can basically decide um, what to do. The tone booster equalizer gives you 24 bands. If that's not enough, you just put on a second instance, and you can do as many instances here, or put as many instances here as your CPU can handle. So um, yeah, that's what you can do right now. The OBAM plugin format itself gives gives room for more. So it's up to the plugin developers to implement more features, like, for example, position-dependent processing. Like one could imagine that you have an EQ which gives everything, which gives everything which is in the front a little more brightness, a little bit more high frequencies, and works on in real time on the position, so that when you have a moving object which moves from the back to the front, by entering the front zone, it becomes a little more bright, and when it moves out of this zone, it becomes less bright again. Just an example. You can do the same thing for compression and for anything else. Um, this is what the Oban plugin format provides, and now it's up to the plugin developers to develop lots of creative things which you can use in your mastering and mixing process.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, um, and I just don't recall, I must admit, because there's been so much discussed today. Now, of course, at some point, everything should be rendered and prepared for the further distribution. And have you shown that window already? What's possible there? If there are not any more questions towards
Well, if
some
you're talking
details.
if you're talking about the export window, yes, I have shown it that you can export everything and anything from any region, so to
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
And
okay.
yeah, and this export thing is also going in parallel. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's going as fast as possible.
it's amazingly fast, and with all the options that are possible there, it's yeah, I'm a huge fan of that as well. There's one more question, and even
Is
another
there a
one.
way of having the object number graphically displayed on the 3D visualizer? Let me share my screen. So currently, it's looking like this. It has three different modes. So oh yeah, here for example, you can see I was putting before on the editor. I said description guitar. This is the guitar. So here you can see it. That object one is guitar. If you want to see only the guitar, you can say focus, and then we have three modes here. Let's just take the second mode that will show it. Now you see only the guitar. And if you don't want to see the guitar, you hide it. So you can select any channels here. If I say I want to see only the bed, then I focus on the bed. If I want to hide the bed, I hide the bed. So that's currently the way of seeing things and of selectively choosing what you want to see and what not. Um, I think you are asking if will be some small numbers also here. We are constantly thinking about how to improve and give more options for visualization, but currently that's the way of doing it. So we are thinking on how to do it in a meaningful way without cluttering up the 3D view. So there might be coming something. But here with the height and focus, which is this is already very powerful, where you can selectively see what's going on.
Cool. So if we switch back to the screen, to the camera, I mean,
Yeah.
awesome, wonderful. Thank you so much for giving these insights, and most importantly, thank you so much for coming up. Thank you so much for coming up with the application to begin with. And yeah, so everybody, what do you think? Some of the comments we have seen, some of you gentlemen have already tried it, and so what do you think? And how big will this impact be? Because, well, I think it will ease the workflow tremendously. So,
Yeah. Then thank you for your comments. Great overwhelming information. Do you have an intent? What's coming next? Well, we of course have an idea what will be coming next, but I can say so much that we are working on something bigger for the Dolby Atmos Composer. So there will be something really cool coming soon. Um, Next level Dolby Atmos production. But I won't go into details right now yet.
Yeah, and thank you guys for the feedback. And I know some of the gentlemen here have already extensively used the mastering console for pretty big projects that involve not only the music mix but also the cinema situation, and that was also very, very helpful for Thomas. You know who you are there on the list, and at this point, from my side, huge thank you for all the feedback and basically
Yes,
the
also from my side.
real time improving of the project as it was going. That was this support and your activity was outstanding. So thanks a lot. And we will talk about that. By the way, I haven't spoken to yet about this. We will do an interview, but that's a different story. Yeah. Oh, I see the smiley there. Okay, you got it. And also, mastering studios, Munich, the Berlin studio, they have, I think Stefan Bock told us that the Tetragon album that is also on the list to be nominated for the Grammys has been mastered with the mastering console already. That being said, I think what's really interesting for us would be what kind of things you would like to see in terms of tutorials or maybe workshops. There are the videos out there, the tutorials on the functionality on the mastering console, but there are so much more things because the whole thing with Dolby Atmos and the music production is usually a huge question of strategy, how you do, you know, what's the sonic concept coming from stereo and deciding on how this Dolby Atmos mix should be and how this is supported by the functionality of the software to have as much freedom for being creative as possible and being as fast and safe with the results and that they can be delivered. So these more workflow approaches would be really interesting for us because then we can start to think of some special, I don't know, classes, maybe even. We've been talking about some master classes stuff. So we're happy about your input. Doesn't have to be right now, but maybe we will find a place where we can collect it.
Yeah. Towards Stonehouse Sound, yes, this video will be online, of course. All our live streams remain online on our YouTube channel, so you can watch them later or rewatch them if you missed something. So no worries, it's all there.
Yeah, indeed. And also, if there are some events that are really, really important for you guys where you would go, please let us know as well. Because if it makes sense, it would make sense of course, also to do some workshops live. But maybe the online format is more flexible and easier to use and to create for us. But also, to meet in person has another value, of course, and we would like to know as well. Cool. Oh, by the way, next week in Hamburg, if you have access to the Hamburg area in Germany, there are 3 events at the same time. There's the LeadCon, it's a pro audio installation, audio technology show, and then the O2 studios in Hamburg are doing something parallel with some brands and manufacturers there showcasing stuff. And at the legendary Home Studios, there is happening Audio Palooza, which is also at the same time happening as the LeadCon. And as we are speaking right now, it looks like we will do 2 quick mastering console tutorials at home studio as well during the Audio Palooza. But follow our social media channels. We will let you know as soon as we know the exact dates and the time when this will happen and if this will happen. And yeah, should be fun.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I have the feeling that we could wrap this up for the
Yeah.
time being.
Yes.
Just remember, get the demo. It's a 2-week trial, free trial, and we will be back in 2 weeks. So you
Yeah.
can collect a lot of questions you would have from there, maybe regarding the handling or some workflow flows and concepts. And Thomas is again happy to answer all your questions, which is amazing. And yeah, as a colleague from ours, from another channel in Germany says, make more music, make more sound and tone, and make more Dolby Atmos. And Dolby and Fiedler Audio is bringing Atmos to the people, also on the producer side of things, and that's pretty amazing. So from my side, officially in public, thank you so much, Thomas,
Yes.
because
Thank you too.
the speed and the no, the process of watching you basically to bring this thing together in that short amount of time is just also outstanding. So
Thank you.
you rule. You should be nominated for a Grammy.
Well, nominate me.
Yeah, people out there. So if you have some connections to the committee. Yeah, all right. So not getting into bragging. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us, Mr. Thomas Fiedler, for enlightening us and providing the tools. And I say bye-bye.
Bye bye. See you next time.